till this actually launches.
Are you pushing it?
Yeah, it'll.
They all say green.
Yeah, it's a little delayed. There you go.
All mine are showing green. Do I have to do
Right,
anything different?
Instagram one, you have to manually hit that go live in the top right corner of that box.
I don't see anything. Top right corner of the box.
Did you exit out the stream key box?
It says you are live.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind.
I just put the stream key in and said go before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I just said go, but then it's not live. But it wasn't live. But I just put the stream key in.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, we're live.
Let's go. All right, guys. Welcome to the $7 to $100 million podcast. I'm your host, Tim Warren. I am joined by Paul DeMott and Danielle Sfire. How's your guys' Friday going?
TGIF.
We got coffee.
That's it. I know. Thanks to Danielle rocking us some Starbucks. This video is sponsored by Starbucks.
Thunderstorm. So, Starbucks Day.
Yeah, Starbucks Day. Exactly right. Are we sponsored? Is this one sponsored by Starbucks?
Yes.
They sending us a check?
Yep.
So we didn't have to pay for the coffee then?
Sponsored by Caribou Coffee. Whoever wants to pay for this, whichever one of you coffee companies is watching, we're happy to. Folgers, Maxwell House. Dude, I have not had Folgers or Maxwell House in like probably 25 years.
Remember those commercials?
Yeah.
I'm not sing the song, but it's in my head now.
Oh my gosh. Folgers in your cup. Let's go. All right. So I'm reading a book right now. I want to talk about this thing. So let me share screen. Check this out. So share screen, and is it crashing? Here we go. Entire screen. All right. I'm reading this book right now called Persuasion. And this is one of Hormozi's most recommended books by Robert Cialdini. So I want to throw this out there. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So Persuasion. He also wrote Influence, which I need to read, but it's all about like why people buy things and how people buy and how people are decided. Check this out. So Persuasion. This book is all about how people decide things, and the best salespeople, they persuade before they attempt to persuade, right? And so here there was like some interesting examples. So one of these is they had like, you know, those like annoying people with clipboards. They're like in Kroger and you're just trying to get your stuff and get out, and they're like, excuse me. They want to ask you questions or sell you some widget, and you're like, not now. I'm trying to buy grapes or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And so they, you know, like success rate's very low. So they were going to try to ask people. They wanted to ask people like questions and whatever thing. So what they did was they talked about the power of persuasion and getting people in the right mindset and how it changes activity. Mm-hmm. So one of them was like they had the clipboard people just walk up and say, "Excuse me, can I ask you 2 questions?" And they're like, "Nah." They had a 77% no rate. Like, no, I'm busy. Then what they changed is they went up to the people, they had the clipboard, and they said, "Hi, nice to meet you. Do you consider yourself a helpful person?" And people will be like, "Yeah, I'm a helpful person. That's awesome. Could you just help me out? And I just have 2 quick questions for you." And it was like at 80% now people said yes, and 20% said no, by just how they persuaded, right? There was another example of the sales rep. He was doing in-home sales for like some very expensive fire safety thing for a house. So it was like alarm systems and the whole fire safety thing or whatever that like wakes up the family if there's a fire. And it's a pretty expensive product. And so what this guy would do, he had this method that he would use. And he would go into the house and he'd sit down with the husband and wife, and they're talking through stuff. And then he'd say, "Oh, I forgot to," like, I guess they had them take this little test on fire safety to see just how much they actually knew about all the fire safety, like, fundamentals or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they had them take the test. And then what he would do is he'd be like, "Oh, I forgot something in my car. Can I let myself out and let myself back in while you guys do this test?" And the homeowners would be like, "Sure, of course." Right? Or if it's locked, they're like, "Oh, here's a key. Yeah, just go out, let yourself back and let yourself in." And that was the one difference this guy did. The only difference. And this guy, so Robert Cialdini, rode with salespeople. Like he rode with salespeople and spent the whole day with them. And all these other salespeople, they did the same. Like they had this pitch, and they had the thing, and they had the system they had to do, and they all did it the same way. This guy did this, and he didn't just forget on accident. It was an actual shtick, because the guy rode with him, and he did it every time. He's like, the guy was not dumb. He didn't forget his book in the car every time. He did this. And then he would, go, and he'd come back, and they were taking the test, and he would let himself back in, and he'd sit back down, and he'd close the deal. And Caldini was asking him on the way back to the office, he's like, what was with the book forgetting? Like, why? And the guy didn't want to answer because he didn't want to tell his secret. But eventually he pushed him. He's like, I have to know. And he's like, look, he's like, who do you give free access to your front door to? Who's allowed to just come and go? And who do you give a key to?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And he's like, family members and trusted friends.
Mm.
He said, I'm like silently putting myself in the category of a trusted person that they trust.
Yeah.
Therefore, if you trust me, right, you're much more likely to listen to what I have to say. And now you don't have to learn to trust me. You're already acting like you trust me.
Mm-hmm.
So smart. And his close rate was like astronomically higher than the other reps. And that was all he did differently. So it's really interesting stuff. Okay. Now I see why Hormozi likes this book so much, because it's like the power of how to convince anyone to do anything, right? So Paul, Danielle, here's my question for you guys. I was like thinking through this. In our sales process, right? So if we're trying to get people to, hey, how do we spend more budget? Hey, the budget you have is too small to get this goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
The race car is not going to win the race, right? What would be the best way we could pre-suade? What do we show, or what do we like? How do we pre-cultivate the ground, if you will, before even showing price? What can we do in the discovery call or early on in the meeting to pre-suade somebody already that the budget's too low? They should be spending more. They should be investing more heavily here, right? And getting that out there.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What could we do? What could that look like versus what we're doing today? We're talking through everything and whatever, but we're not. I don't think we're pre-suading. And literally, this is crazy. They found that if you showed people, it was literally studies. It was as dumb as if you had people take bets on stuff and you showed them jerseys with higher numbers, they bet higher. Jerseys with lower numbers, they bet lower. So if the number was 99, they would bet more money than if the jersey said 1. They would bet less. It is literally this idea of if you see a higher number, you're more likely to put a higher number. Isn't that crazy?
That
is
whole
thing of it is crazy of just how interestingly humans are wired around this idea of monkey see, monkey do, super true apparently.
Mm-hmm.
What could we do? How could we precede the conversation with you should be spending more, you should be investing more, or is that even what we should precede? Maybe we should precede something else.
Are we currently using their numbers to show how much money is left on the table for them? You're spending this, okay, so you're spending this and you're only getting this many leads, but you want this many leads or whatever. So, what am I trying to say? So you're leaving, there's so many other, how am I trying to say this?
Fear of loss, what they're losing versus what they could gain.
Yeah. Or just by spending this, you're only going to get this many leads, but let's say you're getting 7 leads and you want 30. So there's 23 leads of a certain amount of money that you're leaving out there just by not, spending what you should in order to get those leads. And then if you get those leads, then this is the amount of money that you're actually going to make compared to what you're spending. So just showing them technically what they're losing by not spending what they should.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, showing them what they're losing before we even talk about just how much is out there that they're missing. Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
I think
try that with competitors too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one potential option too is if you ask that question about what type of buyer they are, early on, not when you're talking about pricing, but you get them to identify themselves as a certain type of buyer so that they maintain consistency. So if they say, I buy a BMW, and then on the second call, you get the proposal and you're like, well, like they might remember that they said that they're the person that wants to buy the BMW when you show the pricing. So that would be one potential way.
Oh, that's a good idea. You show, what if we like graphically, what if we showed a picture of 3 cars, right? It's like, here's the beater, here's the whatever, here's the Beamer, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, if you were going to buy a car, which one would you buy? Like, oh, I want the Beamer. And then when we show the packages, it's like, here's the beater, here's the whatever, here's the Beamer. You're like, oh, you said you're the Beamer guy, right? And he's like, well, that's $12,000 a month. Yeah, well, you're the Beamer guy, right?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. That's interesting. I wonder how clever we could get with it though. Like just around, I was kind of wondering because if you get people in the right mindset, that's also part of it too. And I wonder if in our meetings, just the psychological stuff that's happening behind the scenes that we're not thinking about, which is like why people trust, why people believe, why some people buy, why some people don't buy. I'm curious if we could get people in this mindset of investing versus spending. So like when I'm thinking about like, all right, I have to go spend money on this thing, I'm like, I don't want to spend money, right? But then if someone's like, hey, Claude's going to go public, you can invest. I'm like, here's all the money, right? And it's like all that money I wasn't going to spend, like here, boom, immediately, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because I think that's going to make me more money. The other thing I know will just cost me money. I know I'm just going to lose money if I buy that thing because it's not going to add any value versus the investment. So I wonder, actually, now I'm kind of wondering, what if we pre-swayed by, like, before we start the whole conversation, you show, like, you show money in a bank account and then you show stocks, right? And you're like, why do you buy stocks?
Mm-hmm.
And they say, oh, well, because they're going to go up over time and I'm investing and buying assets and that's wise. I'm like, super wise, right? And that's how you think about investing and making money, right? Yeah. Marketing is no different, right? Your marketing investment is the same.
Well, SEO especially too, because
Paul, your mic's kind of quiet. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, weird.
Maybe turn it up more.
Yeah, that was the solution to the.
I can hear you, but it's quiet.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay,
Much
hopefully
better.
It doesn't add the echo back.
Yeah, might just be the gain.
Yeah. Let me think what I was gonna say. I may be lost my train of thought off the thing. What were you just saying?
We're talking about marketing as an investment versus a spend, and like how much you invest.
Oh yeah. What I was gonna say is that I think SEO fits the like investment, like stock market thing better than like paid ads does, because SEO truly is something that like you build up, and as soon as you stop, like it does maintain itself fairly well.
Yeah.
So it's something you're always building up. Your SEO is like an asset in your company more than marketing budgets. I don't know what a good analogy is for marketing budgets. That's like doing like a,
steroids.
Maybe well, it's like doing steroids, yeah. But it's
You keep taking them, you get bigger. You stop taking them, you get smaller. Like immediately,
yeah, that's a good way
right?
to put it. Yeah.
But you go to the gym every day and you lift weights and you sleep and you eat protein. Like that muscle, you're not going to lose that in a day, right?
Yeah.
Like that is durable
like
muscle you
SEO
build.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, so that's interesting. So I'm wondering, what if we started the presentation, you show the graph of investing and you're like, you get them thinking about how they're a smart investor, right? And they should be smart with investing. And then we connect that, right? Directly, like, you're a helpful person, right? Sure. Can you help me? Okay. Right? Versus be like, no, because now that people have picked, right? They've like said they're a helpful person. Now they're not going to like go back on their word. Like, wait, you said you're a helpful person. Can you help me out? So yeah. So now it's like, you're a good investor, right? Yeah. Well, that means you're going to be a great investor in marketing too, right? And then they don't want to be like, no, I don't want to invest in marketing. Like, you said you're a good investor, and then it's like people don't want to contradict themselves, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was one thing that came to my mind. How do we reframe invest spending on marketing, not as an expense, but as an investment?
This just popped into my head, but I think that one way you could create the outcome that you want is you could sort of talk about the buyer who like keeps buying an ineffective product, ineffective SEO product. So you could say like somewhere in the proposal meeting, you could say, like we talked to a lot of companies and they're just kind of on this like SEO treadmill because they want to buy the cheapest product out there, this race to the bottom, but they never really invest in a company that has, like, they never invest enough with enough resources to produce results. And so they just get in this like pattern of like, they buy a company, of course it doesn't work because it's not past that threshold. Then they fire that company. They, hire another company again. And it's like they keep they're on this treadmill of like SEO doesn't work. And they just keep firing agencies, hoping the next one will, but like they're just not in the right budget range. I think if you tell that story, like who wants to be that person again?
Right.
Or who want, like, if you tell that story, then they're gonna think like, oh, I don't want to be that person
Mhm.
that's
But
just
like,
on the treadmill. And I also think that's the way some of these people are that are not
mhm.
paying more for SEO. Why are there so many people looking for SEO services that are cheap? Because the ones that, there's fewer of the ones looking for more expensive SEO services because they're just happier and they get better results
Mhm.
and they don't have to keep rehiring a new agency.
You're putting the
So,
pressure on them to, because they're technically on this carousel of insanity where they keep spending it within the same bucket, but just trying different agencies. Well, you're the problem. Like
yeah.
you're staying within this.
So how could
And
we fit this into well, maybe the way you could fit this into a conversation is during the audit, kind of showing them a case study. Like, let's show you. So here's a company that we worked with, and they were just kind of, we see this all the time, but they were one of those businesses that just kept, buying the cheapest SEO services possible and
Right.
getting a bad outcome. And they're on like their 5th company, and we were like, you guys, like SEO is not cheap. It costs money, and if you want to do it right, you need to pay to do it right. So that's what we did, and then this is like the outcome that they got. You could share like a case study like that, and if the person's listening and they like you, the fact that you're positioning that as a bad decision, I think does pre-sell them somewhat on like, hey, I need to invest more.
I mean, I did that yesterday on one of the calls I was on. In my call near the end of the day, we talked about. So we're actually on the call, and he was like, "Hey, this seems really good. You seem really, you know what you're doing. Your firm seems great." I'm like, yep, thank you. We really do know what we're doing. And we talked through some of that. And he said, "Hey, I have a referral I'm going to make." It's like, I want to buy from you. I want to refer you over to this company. I said, "That'd be great." But here's what. And he said, "Yeah, he's this guy has had no good results from SEO firms ever, right?" And so here's what I told him. I said, well, let's break down why that is. So I said, there are 3 buckets of firms. There are the firms that are charging you $500 a month or less. And here's how they make money. They just don't do anything. They just can't. They can't afford to do anything. So I told him, Paul, the story of like the Hormozi guy who spent the first month, they spent it all on ads. And then like second month, they spend a little bit on ads, and then they don't spend anything on ads, and they just scam people. And he was like, yeah, he's like, why am I not surprised? He's like, smart, but scam. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But then, and I was like, then you got the 1,500 to 3K a month kind of range. And I said, the problem with those is that the average company goes 6 months. So there's a lot of churn. So there's just not enough dollars to really win and get the really good people. Then you got the third level firm, which is now you're going to be 3 to 5K a month minimum, up through, 10K a month, 15 a month, 20 a month. And those are the firms who are really going to win. But not even all of those are great because they still have to know how Google works. Just because you spend a lot doesn't mean they know what they're doing. But if you spend too little, it almost guarantees they don't, because you can't hire the great talent. You can't hire knowledgeable, talented people to do your work for the cheap dollars. So I walked him through it, and I said, like, it's the definition of insanity. People try the same budget over and over again, and they never consider that the budget's the problem. And the budget is preceding the failure because you just cannot buy a great car for $2,000. They just don't exist because you can't get all the parts and the stuff to work. They just aren't there. And so it's not that the $2,000 is bad. It's that that's the wrong amount of money for how much a car in today's world costs, right? It's just what it is. And so it's like helping people understand that. So they're like, I'm not selling you on expensive SEO. I'm just selling you on not like thinking through what it costs to get the right talent, right? And I think that's one thing we've talked about with Hormozi is in this like conference and all stuff is just being realistic with what it takes, right? Like so many people are like, all right, I want to grow a following online and I'm going to post, once a month, right? And it's like, it's not going to happen. I'll post once a day. It's not going to happen, right? That's just not how it works. You have to put in a lot more effort than people think. And in our case, you got to put in a lot more money than you probably think for marketing because it's competitive.
I think this is another. I mean, I think there's two pre-sale things that could be pretty effective. So one is pre-selling people to get them to be comfortable with the commitment level that's necessary to be successful. The other pre-sale that we maybe aren't doing that might hurt us on the operation side is pre-selling them on the effort level on their part as a partner for us to be successful. So sharing a story of like the people that just pay their bill and they never talk to us, they never get us what we need, how that goes poorly, versus like when we're really successful, it's because the agency or sorry, the company treats us as a partner, not a vendor, and they're really engaged in working with us. And it's like it's the combination of the two, like their business knowledge, our SEO skill, that creates success. So that's another pre-sale that I think we could do to improve their working relationship once they start.
How could we, do you have any ideas on how we could pre-sell them on what it really costs to do marketing, like really win at marketing? What's a really smart way we could do that?
I mean, I definitely think the story, the stuff we've already been talking about achieves that. Even the stuff you just said to the person yesterday does the same. I think it's just explaining like what does good SEO actually cost, and then talking about why smaller packages, like why the math does not math. So like people are hoping that a $2,000 package is going to drive them their dream outcome, but like let's do the math. Like each person at the agency is going to cost this amount of money. Each content piece is going to cost this amount of money. Each backlink is going to cost this amount of money. Your deficit is this amount. Like, how does that ever get you to where you need to go? Like half the fees, the agency has to make margin. The agency has to pay their people. Like what are the working dollars to actually move the needle at this point? Very little. That's why these smaller packages don't work.
Okay. All right, Paul, that's a great idea. Here's what I just Googled. Check this out. I'll screen share. This is what we could show. So we could put this on a slide at the beginning, and then we have people guess, and then we show them what the real numbers are. So like fastest growing brands and hypergrowth startups typically spend between 15 and 50% of top line revenue on marketing, compared to the mature global brand average of 7.7 to 9.4. That's still, you take a mature global brand like Nike, if Nike's doing like 10 billion a year or whatever it is, is that a billion? Yeah, 10 bill a year times 0.077. That's a $770 million marketing budget. Still, that's the low end, right? Mm-hmm. I think people really underestimate how much you have to actually spend on marketing and how much marketing dollars get spent. Like we know Nike spends a lot, but I don't think about, like I have a hard time thinking about how much $770 million is.
Let's do like let's just do a $3 million company, just to put the numbers in and like look at the range. Let's just put it in the middle. So let's say 30%. So it's fairly straightforward math, but
I mean, that's a $900,000 marketing budget.
Annual budget, then divided by 12.
Yeah. Right.
And then let's do in the, in AI overviews, can we do like what percentage into digital marketing?
Oh, it's down here. Oh, so check it out. Yeah. So that's what I say. So then if we go down here, it based on industries, like where your sector is, but then where they spend their budget. Digital advertising, paid media is 40 to 50%. Content and SEO is 20 to 30. Creator economy, and then MarTech analytics 10 to 15.
Oh yeah, so let's do 20 to 30%. What's 20, 30% of that number that we just pulled up? What was that?
770 mil. So it's 770 mil.
No, not for Nike, but for the $3 million company.
Right, they would be spending 154,000 on content and SEO.
That's 154 million.
154 million, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So take the $3 million brand.
Yeah.
They're spending 30% on marketing, which is this, times 0.2. They should be spending 180,000 a year, right? Or 15,000 a month on SEO.
Boom.
So they should pretty much be spending their whole budget between paid and content marketing, right?
Yep.
So here's an idea. So what if we showed these numbers, okay? So we showed like this and this. And we guessed, and we said, okay, hyper growth brands, like, do you guys know, do you know Red Bull? Yeah. Do you know Gymshark? Sure. Do you know, whatever, like Aloe, right? Yeah. So we throw some of these brands out there. And then we say, do you know these brands, like Nike, whatever? Hey, do you want to guess how much these guys spend on marketing? Let's guess, right? And we have people guess. And then it's like, so you have the hyper growth, and then you have the like Nikes and the, whatevers. And then we put the numbers on here and say, this is how much they are spending on marketing. Isn't that crazy? Then we say, for your business, okay? So then we narrow it down, right? And they say, well, I can't spend 50% of revenue on marketing. Sure, I understand. These are hyper growth, we're raising a ton of money. But this is how much they're spending on marketing, right? Then we could show, do you know what the average small business spends on marketing, right? And then they guess, and it's going to be way, way, way too little, right? And so then we show the number. And now what we do is we create in their mind, we create this big gulf of like how much good brands are really spending versus how much they're spending. We show them why it's bad. Like, look at this gulf. And this is why everyone knows these brands and they get huge. And this is why no one knows your brand and it doesn't get huge. It's because you're spending so little from a percentage on marketing that you're never going to get known, right? You just aren't going to get known. Like, do you guys have a great service? Yeah, we have a great service. People don't know who you are. That's your problem. If 1 million people knew who you were, you'd have 10 times the customers. That's the only issue, right? That's what Hormozi told us, and he's right. The more we've started marketing, the bigger we've gotten. It's just direct. So what if we preceded it here with what people are actually spending for these brands and how much they're spending, and we investing, and then we help them understand first just the deficiency, like how little they're really spending that they should be. And then this idea of investing. These companies are not burning this money. They're investing that because they're going to turn that 770 million into 10 billion in revenue, right? So it's a great investment. What if we did that?
No, I agree with that. Yeah. I think if we can help them understand the bigger picture of how do you grow your company, not just check a box for SEO, but like how do you invest enough that you're growing it and, improving your result, like actually, scaling your business, not just checking a box on SEO, then that would get them. One, I think if you do that in the proposal and go through that exercise, or sorry, not the proposal, the discovery, go through that exercise during the discovery process.
Right.
Then when you meet for the proposal, you've kind of laid out this picture of like, this is what smart businesses do that want to grow. When they come into the proposal meeting and they're like, no, I don't want to be smart. I want to be one of the dumb, tiny companies.
I want to be dumb. I don't want to be smart. Like, you want to be dumb? Why?
I want to make one of the good investments.
Right.
Oh, hey, Cole responded.
We got a like. Thanks, Cole. Danielle, so I just slacked it to you. Could you create a slide that we show at the very beginning of our sales presentation just to pre-suade? And the slide literally shows, take like Aloe and Gymshark or something, like two hyper growth brands, right? And in the range of it's 15% to 50%. And then take like Nike and Starbucks, right? Two brands everyone's going to know. And then the amount that they spend on marketing. And then just take their revenue. So show the number of like, what's their revenue? What's the spend? What's the revenue? What's the spend? Right. So like just you show, and that's like clickable. So they have to guess. And then we show them the numbers, clicks to the percentage, and it clicks to the revenue.
Okay.
And then what is the average small business? Okay. Let me see. Google, Gemini. How much money does the average man, if I could spell today, average small business spend on marketing? Oh, baby. All right, you guys want to say guesses? How much the average small business percentage-wise spends on marketing?
The average small business?
Yeah, the average small
business. What do we mean? Like
2%.
Okay.
Yeah,
this is just AI overview, so I don't know if it's true.
3%.
Okay, Okay, so this one is saying established mature small businesses. Oh, average small business spends between 7 and 10% of its gross annual revenue on marketing, which translates to roughly $10,000 to $50,000 per year because of just their size. So 10 to 50,000 a year is between 7 and 10% of its annual gross revenue. Wow. Yeah, so that's the problem. So if your total marketing budget is 10 to 50,000 per year, which is like 50,000 is the bottom end of what you should be spending on SEO, that's the problem, Paul, because that's their entire marketing budget. And we're like, don't do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, so here's what we have to help people understand. That's how much you should spend if you don't want to grow, if you want to stay the same size and be small. If you want to grow, you have to do what the hyper growth companies are doing. They're spending mass percentage, like 15 to 50% of their revenue on marketing. They're just hyper reinvesting to get back, to get bigger, right?
Now, I think too, like I generally think these small businesses, kind of to our discussion yesterday, should lead with ads, like be more heavy on ads than they are SEO at the beginning, because they're gonna really not have the patience level to invest aggressively and not see a quick return on it. So get ads rolling, get revenue in from those ads, then take that revenue, and that's where you get really aggressive with reinvestment. That's how you really grow a company.
Right.
And so I think to your point yesterday, like an ads first SEO quick win package is the way to go if you're a smaller business.
Right. Well, and what we're doing too is then if businesses if they spend 40 to 50% of their marketing spend on ads, if we are targeting ads packages for smaller businesses, we're tapping into the larger spend category, right? And then for really big businesses, we differentiate not on ads because there's so many ad agencies for the big guys. There are very few really good SEO companies for the big guys. So then what we're saying is, based on your size, where do we need to help you, right? If you're small, you need ads. If you're big, you need SEO, right? Because your ads are probably good if you're big, because you probably can afford to have a really good ad agency who does a good job, who knows what they're doing, but that ad agency doesn't do SEO, right? And you probably don't have a good SEO firm. So then that's actually really interesting. So we're breaking it down because it all comes down to the spend percentages. So if you're a small business spending 15% of your marketing budget on SEO, and then it's being $500, you're never going to win, because $500 SEO agencies are terrible, right? And then the bigger companies get bigger because they can afford to invest $20,000 in a really good SEO firm, and they're going to get even better results because the rich get richer, right? The Matthew principle.
Yep.
And so it's this idea. That's actually really interesting. Yeah, so let's create that slide and we can pre-seed. And then what I think we do is before we get into the whole pitch, now we're pre-suading, and we're simply sharing small businesses are small, not because they have a bad service, but because people don't know who they are. That's the only difference between a small business and a mid-size and a large business, is how many people know who it is and buy from it, right? Like Starbucks doesn't have the best coffee, but it has the most locations and it has the most brand awareness. People know who it is. They know what it is, right? And you can get Starbucks anywhere, right? They're everywhere. And if you have a really good local coffee shop, you just aren't Starbucks because no one knows who you are. You have a very small chain, right? The value you might offer is great, but just no one knows who you are. And then if there's people who know who you are outside of your service area, you can't service them, so they're not going to buy from you. So then your awareness is gone. So it's just this idea of truly people have to just know about you, and that's how you're going to get sales. So this could be really powerful. And then we help people understand you are however much you're spending, you are underspending on marketing. Unless you're
one thing I was thinking through actually as we're having this conversation is just the Hormozi workshop, and like how much pre-sale and how many of these principles were at play. I mean, because there is sort of like this meta sale going on the moment you walk through the door on an upsell.
Instantly. I remember they're showing the Ferrari conversation, that Malibu mansion, right? They're showing that because they're trying to persuade, like, value is price what you pay, value is what you get. Yeah. If the value is $1 million, if the price is $50,000, like all day, right? You'll do it all day. And then they're pre-selling the, like, but it's only, it's not $1 million.
Before even they hit us with the upsell, it was like they were setting the stage to like pre-sell us on, like, what type of business owner are you? Do you make good investments? Do you like good CEOs make good investments, then yeah, like do you pay on value or do you pay like do you look at like hourly rate? So yeah, I mean his whole process has been built like this.
Yep. Okay, so I'm really excited for this. Danielle, I think this could be really impactful for us.
Yeah.
The idea of like we have these slides, and before we start, like so we get in or whatever, and then before we start selling, we first set the stage of let's just talk about marketing, right?
What if like the point of this, like let's just say the reason we talk about this is we say one thing we like to do with all companies we talk to is talk about like why does SEO fail for so many businesses, and why are companies' marketing spends not growing them? So this is what we've learned from doing this for a couple of years, and we think it's really good educational information that should inform you guys like going forward. What if that was like the reason for talking about this is like we want to our goal is to educate you guys, and like we've seen a lot of successes and failures. This is why businesses fail at growing, and this is why they're successful. And then we go through all of this. Like what if that's the way that we set the stage for it? Then
Well,
it's
and
coming across really educational.
we could even persuade by saying like, hey Paul, you're a really smart guy who likes to make really intelligent decisions when buying anything, right? Especially an agency, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be like, no, I like to be dumb, right? You're going to be like, yeah, no, I'm a really smart guy. Great. And you don't just jump to conclusions. Like you want to think it out and like really make like wise decisions about anything, right? Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. I'm the same way. Let's start analyzing this thing from the very top level. Not even buying from Helium. I'm talking about, should you even spend money on marketing? How much should you spend, and how should you think about marketing investment at a high level? Have you ever really thought about this? No. Cool. Let's think about that together, right? And then we start there. So what if that was before we started the closer framework in our proposal call? What if we started there? Or we did this on the discovery call? One thing that I'm starting to come to realize a little bit that's interesting to me is Hormozi said, he's like, you should only spend 3 minutes talking about your product in the pitch. That's it. 3 minutes total, if even less. He's like, people don't really care. They just want to know, like, does it solve the problem? Yes, it does. It solved it for all these other people. Here's what it is. But don't spend a lot of time. He's like, sell the dream, not the not the flight, right? Sell the vacation, not the flight. So he spends very little time talking about the specifics and the details. We've done the opposite. We've gotten really deep into the weeds and the details, and to build trust so people trust us. But then the problem is they trust us, but then they still don't want to spend enough because they're like, okay, I want to buy from you guys. You guys are great, but I'm still going to spend too little. And it's like, now I'm realizing we should probably spend more time on the theory of like marketing and the spending and like how they should think about investing. Less time on the link building, because if they trust me and I say you need this, like, okay, they don't really understand it anyway, probably.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking about is like even his upsell for like his 2 different upsells, and what like when I think about what the rep has shared with us, I mean he was like adding value, and helping answer our questions.
Yeah.
So was he talking about their product or talking about the dream? Like the voice memo and stuff that they sent over.
Oh, I can't speak to it. I didn't get those.
You did those? Those didn't come through to you?
No, I didn't get that stuff. I talked about.
I gotta play the voice memo for you because he actually had an interesting point on the lifetime gross profit point that you had made. So maybe it doesn't come through.
The 135K option. I talked to that sales rep, and he basically said, he was like, look, the proof he gave is he said, like, it was like 90% of companies who come and do this 135K, they double their EBITDA in the first year. We on average, we double people's EBITDA. So he's like, hey, what would that mean for you guys? What would doubling your EBITDA be? And I was like, well, be this number. And he's like, all right, well, does that pay for the 135? Yes. It's like, all right, can we do this thing? Right. That's how he sold it. So it was literally, it was like, here's the dream outcome. Like, it pays for it. Let's do it. So that was the proof. And now the reason I said no was not because I didn't believe him. I said no because I was like, we have so much we have to go execute on already. I don't want to go get more advice. I want to go put in more time under the bar. Let's go put in more time in the gym first before I pay for all the special personal training. Like, let me go get some like volume and go do some stuff so that when I'm ready for the next level of advice, I have more information. I've tested more things. I've actually learned more. Like I want to actually apply, right? I don't just want infinite information. I want to go apply. All right, cool. I got to run to a meeting. So Danielle, can you put that together and build that?
Yeah.
I think that's super cool. And then we can kind of work on it. And then I think, Paul, if we kind of reframe these two things, one is your marketing spend is an investment. It should be an investment that makes you more money. And if it's not, you're investing in the wrong things or you're investing incorrectly. But it's an investment, always an investment. So when we talk about spend, we should think of it as I'm investing this money to get more money. And if they're viewing it as I'm losing money, then we're all doing it wrong. Right. So we need to reframe it like, hey, how much money can you invest to go make more money? Right. Number two is why do small businesses stay small? Why do mid-sized businesses stay mid-sized? And why do some businesses get huge? It's because of how much they invest in marketing. That's really ultimately what it comes down to. And so if we can pre-suade those things and get people seeing that and like we pre-suade the stuff in their mind, then when we come to the table and say, look, I'm recommending you spend 10% of top line on marketing, which would be this number. Like, well, that's more than I spend today. I know, but you want to grow, right? If you don't want to grow, then don't do this. But if you want to grow, then this is just what the math is, right? So it's not.
I think we should mix into the whole like, this is how much you need to spend. Also, like this is how you as a company worked well with us. So like, what if we combine those two things? And it's kind of like, hey, here's our advice on how to be successful based off what we've seen. We hit those both at the same time, but adding the other one in there, I think also like makes it feel less like a sales tactic. It feels like it's just more info and more education on how to be successful. If you just talk about price, some people are going to see that coming.
Oh, totally. I 100% agree. And even saying like, it's not about price. This is about like how well you're investing. If you invest in the wrong stuff, you can invest way too much money and it still not work. Like, so it's complicated. And that's why you need Helium to advise on what you should be investing in, how we should do it. You still need to do it correctly. Right.
Yep.
All right, guys, I got to run. Cool. This has been a great pod. Excited to see what we're going to put together here for clients, but we'll see you guys in the next one.
All right.
See you guys.